With what, then, can we possibly begin if we wish to start without something determinate? Correct, with nothing, and thus being has already passed over into nothing. Hegelian dialectic is the sublation of separation as the movement of thinking within itself.
A warm welcome to my channel, The Realm in Thought. Thank you for tuning in again. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please feel free to click subscribe. Hegel reflects very thoroughly on a logical beginning for philosophy. In principle, Hegel sees the beginning of logic as the result of the phenomenology of spirit. The outcome of the phenomenology is consciousness that has itself as the object of its consideration. Hegel calls this pure knowing. It is thinking itself. Pure being is now the oneness into which pure knowing returns. As an abstract beginning, it must be taken as pure immediacy. Pure being cannot be sensed, intuited, or represented. Rather, it is the pure thought. This is what constitutes the beginning. Yet, strictly speaking, one could even leave aside the determination of pure being, so that one has only the beginning as such. Then nothing is present except the beginning itself, and it must be seen what it is. Nothing determinate is yet contained within it, and yet it is supposed to become something. Being and nothing are thus equally contained already in the beginning. Their form of movement and mediation then produces a content. Hegel's analysis of the beginning therefore already yields the concept of becoming as the oneness of its conceptual moments, being and nothing. Thus, Hegel begins with pure being. It is supposed to be something, but as pure being, it is without all determinacy. It is therefore contentless and empty. The quality of pure being is indeterminacy, indeed, sheer qualitylessness. In the original text, we also read that it is equal to itself and not unequal in relation to something other. That is, it is not diverse within itself and is not delimited from anything else. It is thus pure abstraction, pure indeterminacy. There is nothing within it to be thought, and so it is, in fact, also nothing, its opposite. Nothing as non-being is likewise pure abstraction, pure indeterminacy, undifferentiated within itself and without content. Thus, the same determinacy, or lack thereof, the same pure abstraction, and thus entirely the same as pure being. Their truth, therefore, does not lie in themselves, but in the having passed over of being into nothing and of nothing into being.
The difficulty here lies in the fact that one must not search for examples while reading. One should not form representations. It depends solely on the content that is brought forth by thinking. Hegel defines these categories at the beginning simply as being and nothing. They make sense at this point. Being and nothing are words that can be rendered differently in other languages and can be interchanged. But the content that results from their mediation, their concept, remains the same. This is the rigorously systematic production out of the necessity of the thoughts themselves. The labor of the concept, without drawing in any experiences, practical examples, or value judgments. This shows that nothing is not an antithesis that we simply made up, for in pure being there truly lies nothing. Otherwise, it would be determinate being identical with negation. But that is already the category of determinate being, with its two moments, being and nothing, sublated and posited as one. Determinate being, incidentally, is often confused with being, but pure being is without determinacy, whereas determinate being is being identical with negation. Finally, quantity is being that is indifferent to negation.
Sometimes one also hears that this is merely a fallacy, for being would in fact be all the possible concrete things connected by an or, one or two or three or four, and so on, and therefore not empty nothing. And precisely here the rigor of the concept is not maintained. Being is simply determined as it was found in representation. It is not derived, there is no system behind it, and no compelling necessity. This reduces it to an arbitrary assertion, an opinion, which is no longer a scientific proposition. This is precisely what distinguishes Hegel from other philosophers. Our determinations of thought, our tools of thinking, are not supposed to correspond to anyone's mere representations, but are to be precisely determined, just as, for example, the chemical elements are in the periodic table. And this precise determinacy arises in philosophical science from the conceptual unfolding of a category. Only when all determinations of thought have been systematically derived does each have its place within an overall system, and one can see their position and relation to each other and what each determination of thought is capable of accomplishing.
Returning to being and nothing, they are thus distinct, but they are also identical with one another, and thus nothing and being are the same. This contradiction is not eliminated. Rather, it is precisely the truth of being and nothing. In this way, becoming can be considered in a double determination, namely once as coming to be and once as ceasing to be. Coming to be from nothing into being and ceasing to be from being into nothing. Both annul each other, but not externally one by the other. Rather, they annul themselves. Each makes itself the other, and so they exist in their truth only as movement. Becoming is thus the first concrete thought, the first concept. The concept as such will only be understood within the logic of the concept. Here I wish only to anticipate a little. The concept always appears as universality, particularity, and singularity. Becoming as the first concept is being, which at first is still wholly abstract universality. It has within itself the power to sublate the negation, to particularize itself into nothing, and to annul this singularization and become identical with itself again. Becoming is not the dissolution of the contradiction contained in being and nothing, but rather the movement form of being and nothing. In that being and nothing pass over into each other and vanish, becoming is thus itself a vanishing. The result is not empty nothing, but being identical with negation, a unity in which being and nothing are sublated. Hegel calls this determinate being. Its significance is that it has come to be. With this, the category of quality has emerged.
All this is now presented in highly condensed form in the concept script. Being is externally determined by essence and concept, and internally self-determined through quality, quantity, and measure, yet immediately indeterminate. Quality divides into being, finitude, and infinity as the absolute being. The question of being immediately leads to nothing as the only non-tautological answer, and conversely, it is solely being that nothing's nothing. Thus, being is the same as non-being, or nothing. The transition from B to N in reading direction is ceasing to be, and the passing over of nothing into being is coming to be. From the unity of being and nothing through the reciprocal transition of being into nothing and nothing into being emerges the first becoming, which, however, can also be won in a more complex form from the unity of ceasing to be and coming to be as a second becoming, wherein the differentiated sides of the unity are not mere categories, but transitions between categories. The sublation of becoming is the birthmark or family name of determinate being, in which the non-sublated moments are posited as one. That shall suffice for the first chapter of the Science of Being. Thank you for watching, and until next time.